Moving on to our third session of the day, focused on new European markets. As connected TV continues to grow across Europe, we're seeing significant opportunities in emerging markets. However, each country and each region comes with a unique set of challenges, whether it's infrastructure, content consumption trends, or regulatory environments. Today, we'll explore how brands, platforms, and advertisers are adapting their strategies to reach audiences in these rapidly evolving markets. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Tom Hudspeth, who's the Head of Solution Development for EMEA for Group M Nexus, who will be moderating this session. Over to you, Tom, with your fantastic panel of industry leaders.
Thanks very much, Ryan. Yep, great to be here, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. I hope you've enjoyed the last couple of panels as well. Some great content there. Yep, really good to be here. Quick intro to me. So just as Ryan says, I'm Head of Solution Development across EMEA for Group M Nexus. So I've had the lucky role to see a lot of this play out over the last few years with CTV or advanced TV across the European markets. And we've got a really great discussion lined up right now with three really good panelists who are going to talk us through. I'll ask them to introduce themselves in a second, but just to give you a little bit about what we're going to talk about. Ryan gave you some there as well, but it is all around these new European markets. So what we expect to see in terms of growth, what the opportunity is, the new European markets, but also some of the challenges that we expect to see and how we expect to be able to overcome those and take advantage of the opportunity. So great. I will ask, in fact, Katie, can we jump to you first? Do you mind giving a quick intro and then passing it on to the next would be great. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Tom, for the setup today and for moderating us. Hi, everyone. I am Katie Jones. I'm the SVP for Europe, Middle East and Africa over at Index Exchange. If anyone doesn't know us, we are a supply side platform. And I'm based here in, I'd say, sunny London, but it's not very sunny today.
Thanks, Katie. David, over to you.
Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. My name is Dave Goddard. I'm VP of Business Development at Double Verify. Similar to Katie, if you don't know what Double Verify is, we're a ad tech company that authenticates media quality and performance for some of the world's largest brands, no matter the environment, including CTV, hence why I'm on the panel. And I've been at Double Verify for almost 5 years now, expanding partnerships with media and technology providers, improving coverage and product capabilities with a focus on CTV. And so delighted to talk about this topic today. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Last but not least, Eke, please.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for being here. So my name is Eke Hartschlag-Bohm, or as we said, Eke. I'm Regional Vice President for the Northern European markets. For the people who don't know PubMatic, we are a technology company that has started 15 years ago as an SSP, but as the market is evolving, we are as well. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Eke. Great. Let's jump in. So, got the first question, which I'll come to you first, David. If that's okay. Is looking all around, CTV growth for the last few years. We've seen it really start to escalate over 20% last year. We're all expecting it to go even higher again this year. So we're talking primarily about new markets in this forum, but obviously there's so much that we've learned over the last few years around CTV across Europe. Really keen to get your views on how important those learnings will be for the new markets. What can we take from those, do you think, when we look beyond the core markets in Europe?
Thank you very much, Tom. And maybe looking at why people are looking to invest in CTV is a good start, because the opportunity in Europe is great. No matter the market, no matter the coverage, and it allows advertisers to reach theoretically new audiences and raise brand awareness in a cost-effective manner versus traditional linear TV, and find theoretically with the buying doors, the programmatic buying doors and the direct buying doors, enable them to find premium inventory at scale. But kind of some of the things we were talking about, like why advertisers are investing in this space, and what are the kind of the drivers and the priorities for investing for advertisers. Some of the things we should consider when looking at new markets and giving somebody advice. And Double Verify and IAB released some research, which I'll have to tout on this call, being part of the IAB, which highlighted that advertiser priorities are, or the ones we called out in the research, are delivery of TV advertising campaigns at audience scale. We said cost efficiencies compared to linear TV, ensuring and maintaining high quality inventory, and access to data insights. Now, if these are the kind of key focuses for why advertisers should be investing in this space, then I believe the key to enabling clients to realize these goals and expand to new markets should be focused around supporting measurement and industry standards. Because really the key to scale is ensuring that clients hit those kind of success metrics and achieve these goals outlined in this research. And this will also enable premium CTV. And I think this is one of the interesting things that we don't talk about too much, because really, who is premium CTV competing with? We focus a lot on linear TV, but actually where advertiser dollars appear to be going at this moment is in scaled social environments that enable clients to deliver reach for their video campaigns. So I think it's really important for CTV to support kind of measurement and industry standards to enable them to differentiate from other media types, but also kind of these social high-scale video environments, to show that that big screen in the front room of your household is or of everybody's household theoretically, is a great place to advertise a marketing message, because it doesn't only deliver reach, but it delivers impactful reach. So quite broad stroke notes there with regards to how to expand into other markets, but really supporting those industry standards and measurement is the key to success.
Yeah, absolutely agree there, David. Obviously, everyone wants their investment to be valuable, and getting that return back measurement is obviously incredibly key for that. So very much agree.
I think
please go.
if I can build on some of those points that David made so eloquently, I think the piece we haven't really talked about so much so far is really the user, the audience, the actual end consumer, and thinking about their experience as well. So just to kind of add that layer perhaps to some of the thoughts that David shared, I think it's really important, I think, for us to learn from what's happened in some of the successful European markets already. I think one of the key learnings that we've seen is that the market can really be driven by some of the early entrants who really lean into learning much more about the user, the audience needs or requirements. I think really we're seeing that consumers want to watch the right content for them at the right time, and potentially even to continue that across other devices. David was speaking already to the fact that brands want to be able to reach the right user at the right time, with the right messaging and with the right measurement in place. So I think it's that combining of those two things is where you really get, we're seeing lots of success already. So I think it's the companies who are taking a user-centric approach in market, looking at those audience trends, and then perhaps taking a test and learn approach to how they partner with brands, with advertisers, to make sure they're delivering both the right experience for the consumer and for the brands who want to reach those consumers.
I think maybe I can add one final point here is, David, you made the point that money is going into social platforms. And one advantage that social platforms are having at the moment, which is why you're referring to measurement and standards, is they can scale easily across multiple markets by just one click. And I think as we are tech companies, our job here is to help and enable companies like yours, Tom, to just being able with one click to run a campaign across multiple markets, because this is how you can support your clients to also have scalability in the programmatic ecosystem. So TV becomes digital, and everything that has become digital in the past has become programmatic. So this is why we are here, and this is what it is about. So of course, measurement and standardization is a topic here to drive stuff. And just listen to the previous panel, it's exactly about those kind of things. And I think our job is, and this is where we see where markets have a high internet penetration or a high penetration of smart TVs, there are early adopters of what it is. But our job is to connect those markets with the technology they're having with the local landscape to a broader global ecosystem.
Agreed. Thanks, Eki, and thanks, Katie, for your thoughts as well. I think clearly measurement is super important. The standards are as well, and keeping the consumer in the front of mind and making it simple. Absolutely, this is key to anything scaling. We have to make it easy for the campaigns to flow and the value to be represented afterwards. So thanks for that. Moving on, but keeping that same topic of the consumer and thinking about the new markets in across Europe. How do we see consumer behaviours changing, or how are they different across these new markets? And if they are different, what do we think that means for us trying to drive the growth of CTV and across the new markets? Might come to you first, Katie, on this one, if that's okay.
Of course. I think it's actually really interesting if I can tie it back to something we've all spoken about in the prior question. But I think standards are something that are incredibly important when we think about the difference in consumer behavior, because you do see country by country very significant different consumer behaviors due to different diverse sort of cultural, economic, technological factors. But it's really comes down to companies like ours, like all of our panelists, to kind of figure out how we can overcome some of those differences and uniform the standards so that we can get to that ease of execution. I think probably just to make it more concrete, because we can sit here and say standards, but to kind of give a bit more of an example on this, I think live programming is probably something that poses a really big challenge for our industry at the moment, and for brands who like to reach their audiences in those key cultural moments, whether that's sporting, political, a lot going on at the moment there, all over Europe and further abroad, but also then cultural events as well. And I think we've perhaps as CTV continues to grow as an area and as a focus in our industry, that really brings more challenges around how we can handle that kind of programming, those kind of delivery. I think some of the big challenges it brings is the sort of spikes or bursts in users who all hit an ad break at the same time, and that surge being very hard to handle in terms of the programmatic pipes, in terms of the DSPs being ready for that surge, in terms of the pacing being set up correctly, and so on. And those are quite unique challenges. And at Index, we're part of the leadership of the IAB Tech Labs working group specifically for ad break management. And so we're putting together the standards for those new attributes around how live content can be handled within the OpenRTB 2.6 spec, effectively trying to standardize some of those new fields so that we can kind of get the right signals into the bid request, so that the brands, well, the DSPs and then the agencies and brands that they work with understand exactly what that signal is saying, because it's only with those unified standards internationally, globally, that we're going to be able to handle some of those cultural and challenges that are brought up by live. So effectively, I think live is one where the consumer behavior might be different, right? The sport that someone's watching might be different per country. Not everyone is as into, football or cricket as other countries, but the challenges that it brings in terms of the changes to the bid stream and how we need the standards to be able to adjust for those are kind of the problem is the same, even if perhaps the consumer behavior is, might be slightly different. So lots and lots of kind of interesting things to think about, again, with driving towards clearer standards.
Yeah, completely agree. Eki, from your perspective on this question, what do you think?
I think it is right what Katie says, and I agree with that. That is definitely the case. And I think when I look at it, I would say it's also very important that we use and leverage, besides standards, that we use and leverage the expertise of people who have knowledge in the market. So like thinking about that, coming from an agency background, have worked with that, have competed against global platforms with in-house solutions, there is definitely a need when you plan multi-market campaigns to have the experts in market that tell you how you have to build your media mix. What I'm also thinking here is standardization will help us to also enable classical AV planners to put digital and CTV and digital broadcast inventory into a normal TV plan, which is necessary because this is what those kind of advertisers that coming from a linear background are looking for when they shift into digital. So it's a technical standardization, but it's also a measurement standardization that we need to have and where we need to understand the things in the right way. So I think technical is definitely important. So the path, the pipes need to be really worked out. It needs to work for everyone. It doesn't matter if you use whatever buying platform, whatever SSP connected to whatever ad server, it is necessary. But I think we also need to understand whenever things are ready, there is a gap of expertise in those areas, especially in new markets, for everyone to understand those things. I think it's very common to do this for native display, which is quite easy. So this is what you do. But in areas like CTV, there is less data possible at the moment, and it was touched in previous panels as well. So there is a huge knowledge necessary to run successful campaigns, but we need to build the foundation for that.
Absolutely. David, your perspective.
Totally agree with my panelists, fellow panelists on this subject, and kind of building on what they both said around both tech and local knowledge, it being critical is something that advertisers need to take into consideration during the planning phase when entering into a new market. And this is really around a nuance related to kind of device distribution and what devices consumers in that country or region have at a disposal to consume the media that Katie was talking about. And this feeds into kind of Eke's thought around on the ground knowledge, because very much a device can dictate like what measurement capabilities or measurement outcomes are possible to measure. I keep saying measure, but that's in front of mind, but also kind of what buying doors are available as well. Like not all may support kind of programmatic. So there are certain limitations which clients need to factor in, because you've got certain set-top box devices that have an IP connection but won't have the full kind of vast support for the ad delivery, etc., which can impact multiple things. But one of those is how you measure the outcome. So that may define how you plan success when planning those CTV and expanding into those markets.
Yeah, it's a great point. And it's I can't believe we're 20 minutes in and we haven't said fragmentation in a panel talking about CTV, but that is evident in everything we're talking about here, isn't it? In terms of devices, behaviors, obviously the content as well. But yeah, clearly that the tech has to work for us to standardize, and TV being local and standards obviously need to be global. Completely agreed.
I think I want to turn this back to you, Tom, and have you answer this question in terms from the buyer's perspective and the sort of challenges that fragmentation brings.
I think it's all about how do you simplify. I think again we're talking about simplifying fragmentation is an incredibly important piece, right? It's about how do you make it simple from what is a relatively simple local world of linear, if we talk about linear budgets primarily, how do you bring those in? And I think I've heard it from all of you so far today as well. It's about, it starts with planning, but obviously you have to get the implementation right and the measurement right ultimately. So yeah, it is, we are in a fragmented world and we need to use our collective minds and technologies to consolidate and bring things together. Being able to make everything simple helps it scale and obviously overall helps it grow. So it's been an exciting journey so far, and I'm sure it's going to be even more so as we go into more markets from here on in.
But it's the point, sorry, one last addition to that, because that is a very interesting thing about we are competing when it comes to scalability against social platforms with a lot of short content, and there is massive scale. But I think our job as well as like from the agencies like Rubem and others is to really point out the value and the scalability of premium content. So because it's about also having enough, not only measurement on this normal KPIs, but it's also about measurement of quality. So what is, so delivering the right brand lift study. So the success of content, the engagement there because it's close to the user. So all those kind of things are very important to drive them as well. I think we need the content providers and the broadcasters who produce this great content, and they're competing against big, massive platforms that have a full paid model, now expanding to a free ad served model, and they need us to also help them to get into the transition to then enable advertisers to spend on high premium content.
Yeah, it's a great point, Becky. You know, it's not all impressions are equal, not all reach is equal as well on the same point. So absolutely, it's about quality and the impact that quality has, and our job to show that with the technology that we have. That's actually a great segue into what could be our last question. Let's see if we can squeeze another one in afterwards. But it's about, you know, we spoke about consumer behaviors, but what about the experience our advertisers are looking to maintain, especially across a complex and nuanced region like Europe? So what advice, I guess, would you have to advertisers in how do they maintain that consistent branding experience, consistent experience with their campaign across a whole region where things are different, technology is different, and the consumer behaviors are different? Let's go to Eke first for this one. Thanks.
Oh, now I've said almost everything.
To test you again.
Have I known that, I would haven't said that. No, I think it really comes down to the points that we have mentioned earlier. I guess we need to rely as an advertiser, I would say, like, hey, test. So please have the courage and go into exploring digital. And I would say there are multiple products outside where agencies have built great solutions across multiple markets to have an easy entry to just prove if a hybrid campaign between linear and digital is working. I think there is a lot of opportunities to test those things if you feel like you cannot handle this on your own or you don't have an in-house expertise. So I think there are multiple ways to test this, and also to avoid some of the traps that you can have with local regulations. There are specific rules in market. There are potentially specific technology solutions, as we already have mentioned, and also figuring out what measurement providers are working to really make sure that you're measuring the success for your campaign to generate your findings. I think there's a lot of things that we have already touched on, but the main advice I would give, like, yes, test it. Use the opportunity that TV and CTV is becoming digital. So everything that's starting to be executed and managed out of an ad server is a great piece of software. HBB TV is not available everywhere, but everything that's coming out of an ad server gives you new possibilities. Don't be too much into measuring VCR and CTR. So think about other KPIs when you look at this, and please refer on how you can transition this into a full omni-channel AV campaign. That would be my very short statement on that one, including everything we have mentioned before.
Thanks, okay, great points. David, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, love to. I can see why people are investing in CTV, but I want to come on to VCR, and I agree, don't focus on VCR. But the reason why people focus on VCR in CTV is, on average, it achieves 96% versus 67% on all other devices. But like Eke said, don't focus on that. There's only a 4% from the 100, and you won't be able to make much ground. But there are other areas and other goals clients could be looking at that will enable them to plan correctly. But the first thing you should do is start measuring. You'd be surprised at how many clients aren't utilizing measurement capabilities available to them today to give them like simple stuff like app transparency, or, you know, CTV viewability, and a wide range of other kind of useful metrics that you would need to ensure that you're able to optimize further down the road. Because not all CTV is created equal, right? There are some unwanted apps, like in digital, versus high quality premium creating made for TV apps. So first and foremost, ensure you're getting that level of transparency. And then once you're getting those, kind of optimizing of that data to drive more strategic outcomes. And then after that, you can kind of make more strategic buys about what you're saying. But I want to come back to the thing that Eke was talking about, which is that premiumness and that difference. And it's one thing that we as an industry could do much better on solving, is that content level transparency in CTV, because we're doing it in a few markets at a very experimental level, but we're not doing it at scale. And as Eke was saying, one of the critical things to kind of, I guess, differentiate CTV from other environments and other ecosystems or walled gardens, etc., is being able to say, this is made for TV. It's an old statement, but made for CTV now, I guess. Quality production, high quality production. Does that come with a higher value for an advertiser, knowing it's that lean back experience and it's that full 30-second ad? So we're yet, as an industry, able to say this show ran with this impression at this time, and this was a brand lift from it. We're getting close, but we need to do a bit more effort there.
Completely agree. Almost at time, but final thoughts from yourself, Kate. I don't want to miss you out.
I feel like, so that I don't say exactly the same things. I think one thing you mentioned earlier, Tom, is this focus around keeping it simple. And ultimately, why would a brand use any channel? It comes down really to incrementality, incremental reach. And I think especially when you're looking at CTV in new markets, you know, brands need to be thinking about their target audiences and how their target audience is consuming TV content generally, and it's a real generalization, but younger audiences in particular are kind of challenging to reach in those like linear environments. And so I think as you're thinking about CTV, one very, very simple approach can be that audience-centric approach, using that streaming TV as part of a wider media plan to drive incremental reach for brands to their audiences.
Great point to finish on. Thank you so much, Kate, and thank you, Eke, David. Enjoyed that. Back to you, Ryan.
Thanks so much, Tom. Yeah, terrific panel there. Thanks so much for hosting that. Yeah, an amazing conversation. Great to know and learn so much about what is going on, and hearing about what's happening in those emerging markets and how they really are transforming the connected TV landscape. Obviously, understanding those regional differences is key to building those effective strategies for growth. And we're grateful to the speakers